Hi guys, so today I'm going to be teaching you how to knit a really simple beanie. It's customizable with any color of yarn, and you can even make the color of the brim different from the color of the rest of the hat. It's also different on the outside than it is on the inside, so it's technically reversible, but I like the outside a lot better. I think the inside doesn't look good, but that is up to your opinion. Anyway, the supplies that you're going to need for this project are first a circular loom. You're also going to need a sizable ball of yarn, enough to make a hat with. Colors up to your choice, obviously. You're going to need a little tool, which you can see here. It should come with your loom, or you can probably find one online. And you're also going to need a pair of scissors. So once you've got all of your supplies ready, you're going to want to take the end of the yarn and just tie it into a tight knot. By tight, I mean secure, like it won't come apart. It's enough to be too big or too small, and what you're going to do is fasten that onto the peg that is perpendicular to all of the little ones. It's a single peg, and that's just to make sure that your project doesn't become unraveled. It's going to secure your first few rows. And once you've secured the knot, what you're going to do is start to make your first row. So you're going to take it to the first peg, which is the peg to the right of that perpendicular one, and you're going to wrap it around the back of that first peg and just around it, and then you'll go to the next one, as you can see on the screen. It's kind of like a cursive E, it's a little loop, and you're just going to do this for every single peg on the loom. So go around in a circle until you reach the last peg before the perpendicular one. Now once you reach that one, you're going to want to push your first row down to make it easier to manage, and you're just going to start the whole process again. So loop your yarn around the entire loom again until you get to the last peg before the perpendicular one. Now, once you've done that, we are going to begin a process called knitting off. This is going to be a process that you repeat along with creating the rows throughout the entire hat. So I usually like to start on the last peg before the perpendicular one just to secure everything. And basically what you do to knit off is you take the bottom loop and you just pull it over the first one and over the peg and release it. That's it. This is why you don't want to make your rows too tight or too loose, otherwise they might be a little bit hard to manage. So you're just going to repeat that process for the entire loom. So every peg on the loom you are going to knit off so that you start with 2 loops, you bring one over the other and release it, so there's only 1 loop left on that peg. So after you finish that first row and there's only like 1 row of loops on your whole loom, make sure you loop the yarn over again, knit it off, push it down, repeat the entire process. After your 4th or 5th row, you're going to want to take that little security loop that you made in the very beginning off. You can just release it behind it, just push it away, you don't need it right now. Now you're going to keep knitting, but keep in mind, we are knitting the brim right now. So whatever thickness you want your brim to be, make sure the amount that you're knitting is twice the thickness of that brim, because we are going to be folding it over. So just make sure you keep that in mind. Like if you wanted your brim to be 2 inches, then make sure you knit 4 inches worth of yarn. When you finish knitting all of that, what you're going to want to do is you are going to locate the end of the fabric and find the very first loops that you've knitted, which are at the end of it. You're going to be able to tell which ones they are because they're bigger and they're looser than the other ones, and they are also on the end. When you get to it, take the little security thread that you had in the beginning, just push it behind and push it under so that when you fold over the fabric, it's kind of hidden between the 2 layers. So what you're going to want to do is you're just going to take those first loops and you're going to put them back over the pegs. Once you finish that, you're going to have 2 little rows, or what looks like rows, and you're just going to knit them off. This will seal the brim. If you wanted to change colors after this, make sure you cut off your working thread, which is the thread that's attached to your ball of yarn, and tie it to another color so you can start working in that color instead. After this, just keep knitting until you've reached the desired length of the hat. After that, I'll tell you how to close off the hat completely. Now that you've finally reached your desired length, what you're going to want to do is take your string and just like loop it around the entire length of the loom. And you're going to want to cut it after it's gone around the entire circle at least. Once you've made that cut, what you're going to want to do is you do a sort of process where you just keep the string under let's try it on the first peg. You keep the string under the first loop. You sort of put your tool inside the loop, turn around, scoop up the string, and pull it through. So you kind of tie a little knot. And I'll do it again in front of the camera, just in case you couldn't see that one. You're basically sticking your tool in, you're scooping up the little string that you just cut, right? The one that's not attached to the yarn anymore, and you're pulling it through the entire string so that it just attaches. Just go around the whole circle and do that. Once you've finished all of that, and you've done this to every single peg, you can just start and remove everything from the loom. You do that by just like sticking your tool in and pulling everything on that peg off. Once you've completed this, the way that you close off your hat is really simple. You just take that string, the one with an end to it, and you basically turn your hat, and whichever side is facing outside is designated to be the inside of the hat. So I'm going to be using this side because I don't like it that much. And you pull the string and you tie it. I like to do multiple knots just to make it more secure. You could tie as many knots as you want. I loop it a few times around just to be sure that it doesn't unravel. Make sure you pull the string tight enough so that there isn't a hole in the top of the hat. And just like that, you are done. Congratulations, you just knitted a hat.